Hello everyone, this is Fantastic Worlds, looking back to Lovecraft country in the secret world Interludes, and we're continuing our journey through Egypt. Now, I think I'm going to have to do 2 episodes for the Northern Waste, because there's just so much of them, and they're kind of scattershot. There's a lot of pulp. Lovecraft is based off the pulp era of the 1920s, and a lot of this, as one of my followers, Amanda, pointed out, a lot of what's going on in Egypt here is 1920s concept of what Egypt was like, as opposed to being it actually is like. The whole resistance to the south doesn't quite fit that parameters because it's kind of a more modern insurgent-filled desert kind of scenario, which we're also going to trip across on this side. But for the moment, let's wander into the various set pieces. Now, one of the reasons people have trouble with Egypt is that it's kind of incoherent, narratively speaking, because it's trying to jam so much and not really make it fit together. I mean, we've got somebody who can pass for Gandalf working with an armed resistance right out of the 1980s in Egypt, so it gets a little schizophrenic at times. But in the meantime, let's get started. Unfortunately, I cannot read Arabic. I am guessing it's an advertisement for the next way we have to go. Now, of course, the first thing that virtually any Westerner will think about when it comes to Egypt is tourism. Because, well, let's face it, ever since their culture got assimilated by the British Empire, it's been kind of a fascination about, ancient Egypt, scary and exotic and kind of pretty with all those monuments. So people keep coming. So they build hotels. The locals build hotels to take money from them. This is one of them. As you can see, they've changed management lately. The Hotel Wahid. Now, the deal with this is that it's kind of unfortunate symbology here, and I'm kind of hope why the creators didn't actually mean for it, but you've got a hotel that was taken over by degenerate creatures which are holding humans hostage, and will probably be eaten, and the UN sent a negotiator in. Well, apparently we've got a liberation mission going on here. Hey, good for you guys. I wonder who's doing that. Need any help in here? Might as well take a look. Yeah, and of course, hotels with people getting slaughtered in the Middle East is not a good look these days, because it's kind of what's happening all the time. Dude, seriously. Oh, not in the mood for you. Oh, good lord. You try to hit me with a sandstorm? I'm like, not made of flesh, dude. Anyways. So yeah, this area here was supposed to be a typical Western-style idea of what a Moroccan hotel kind of thing going, like something out of Casablanca as opposed to reality. And I'm going to kind of excuse it for this point right here, simply because, oh yeah, this is my silver golem. Shems are kind of mini golems. I got this one during the anniversary. I'm kind of hoping to get the whole set at some point. But yeah, decent view though, right? Nice sunrise, I think. Yeah, it's getting lighter, sunrise. But yeah, this is their idea, movie set almost made life to bilk Westerners out of their money. It was also targeted by terrorists, aka ghouls in the secret world. You could say that the terrorist attacks in the secret world are in fact covering up for ghouls, but it's kind of just overlooking some unfortunate symbology. But yeah, back here you can see they have a pool, or would have had a pool, if assuming anybody saw. Oh, there it is. Hi guys. Don't know who you are, but I hope you're having fun. Anyway, so let's go talk to the quote-unquote proprietor of the hotel. Now, this is Saeed, one of the undead mummy merchant princes. My hello. Who, while he'll affect a good attitude, is one of the main architects of misery in this entire game. His people were the ones who moved the bomb that they discovered here, which is really a converted anima engine, to Tokyo. It started off this whole damn plot in the first place, because they were paid to. Now, Saeed has pointed out that they've rethought their policy because you can't do business on a dead world or one inhabited by giant tentacle monsters, but he's not exactly enthusiastic about it. Nor is he in any way, shape, or form contrite in any, okay? So I'll let him say it for you. Okay, so, Saeed, tell me about yourself.
It's rude to stare, is it not? Oh, the expression on your face. I know. You see this desiccated flesh like old tea leaves and cannot comprehend how it's dressed in Milanese silk.
As you can point out, they are really into money.
Here's the skinny. We of the kingdom were merchant princes once, are now, and always will be. A prince is accustomed to little luxuries, and big ones. Over the rise and fall of civilizations, I've become quite desensitized to tasteful restraint.
Oh, well, sorry, hang on a second. The sound seems a bit off. I'm going to give it a bit of a twitch. See if that works. Okay, that should be a bit louder, but hopefully my micro... No, that's not quite working. Give me a second. Sorry about that. Anyways, so yeah. Try to ignore the little alerts come in. I do have my own mercantile activities going on in the background. But, yeah. Merchant Prince is... Let's point something out here. He didn't say Pharaoh, because he wasn't. Because we've seen him back in the episode 48 or 49, where you've seen his living version, which was kind of... I guess it was an overseer of slaves that wasn't into, shall we say, a little off-the-books marketeering, which is continued this way. Now, the fact that he was mummified is not unusual. What it is the fact that the favored servants of pharaohs were entombed. And for some reason, this guy, plus all the other members of the kingdom, didn't go crazy like all the other mummies we've been burning alive here. They seem to be able to take immortality by becoming, well, desensitized to empathy, which is kind of a sad thing, really. But if you're going to live forever, and people keep dropping dead around you, you can't start caring about them for too much.
This afterlife has proved very different to the one that I was expecting. One of the few shortcomings of the dynastic private schooling system. But for a businessman, a deal broker, it is glorious. Infinite potential for profit and so many pleasurable distractions.
Yes, capitalism does tend towards sociopathy.
Legal, illegal, divine, or debauched. It takes all sorts. What I pride myself on is a wealth of experience.
That he would have. 4,000 years will do that for you. So let's talk about his people, the kingdom.
Well, Venice has some nerve. Bringing in an army without going through us first. What are we, dried leather?
There's 6 people! Plus a negotiator and a bureaucrat. How the hell is that an army? Ugh.
Everything goes through the kingdom. Everything has its price. That's Cairo rules. This is an antique land, and we are its curators, no one else. The Cabals all had their chance, and if they liked it so much, they should have put a rein on it.
Right, he's referring to the fact that 3 Cabals, including the Illuminati, once started in Egypt because that was the first center of civilization. Sort of. Depends on how you look at it. So what happens, they evolved from there, each taking their own domain in the larger world, and kind of left this one after they, took so much of it was a dried husk. And the kingdom just filled in the cracks, because, if there's a power and a vacuum, there ain't the power, other power would seek to fill it.
Look at what happens when too many outside interests get involved. The kingdom's free black market kept Egypt removed from the secret wars. It's almost charitable if you think about it.
No, it's not. You've made in billions of dollars off the misery of others.
Yes, this fracas is going to cost.
Who?
Not us, of course. We'll find a way to turn the country's devastation into a lost leader. Too soon? Well, don't think of me as heartless. It's shriveled to the size of a walnut, but I still have it rattling around in here somewhere.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, sociopathy. He will find a way to make a profit off of this. Now, granted, we're not giving him any money because we don't have any. Illuminati, I'm pretty sure, is probably not giving him money either. So he just uses us like a blunt instrument. But to be fair, that's what Kirsten's doing.
I'm like a jackal shut in a hot car out here. If it's not the sun, it's the Beatles. Those voracious little shits are everywhere. I would have greatly preferred to stay in Cairo. We're a hands-off facilitator, for moral reasons or lack thereof, and because there's a je ne sais quoi about us that spooks the locals.
And death will do that to you.
If you ask me, we've aged better than some of the Fortune 500 CEOs I've met. And I've met them all. The age of online business has been good for the kingdom. Very good. Now everyone is faceless, not just us, and personal responsibility is an idle dream. Where it belongs.
Yes, the internet is also good for sociopathy.
Here I am running accounting on a situation intended to have no accountability. I hope you understand I have the confidentiality of my idiot clients to consider when dealing with you. However, I would dream of stopping you making their lives difficult. Break a leg.
Several, actually. Yeah, he's Switzerland. He's just going to find a way to make money off of this. See you. Anyways, let's get out of this cliche, shall we? That's not straight cliche, let's face it. The living cliche that is tourist Egypt exists because the West demanded it. Somebody was going to make money off of it. But let's see, pop around a little. I think, let me check the map. I don't want to get lost here. Right, we're going to head over to the tourist temple next. Okay, so, as you can see, we have the palm trees and the wastes. and which is kind of odd because palm trees take enormous amounts of water. Now, if this was the rainy season and these things were filled, I could see it happening, but yeah, there's that giant golem thing. Let's give it a wide berth. Yeah. I'm guessing that the water left recently because you don't normally see stranded boats. Most people know how the Nile floods if you're living in Egypt because it's absolutely essential to life. But yes, speaking of, shall we say, tourist Egypt, we'll get to the burning stuff later. The sun, this is a complete artifice, a temple created for tourists to come in and pretend that, the tourist temple, there you go, pretend that it's an actual place of worship, but in fact it's just what people want to see from Hollywood, because obviously it's going to have like these wide steps that have... Be quiet! Gods, people. Yeah, the cults are no better than the companies that were here originally. But yeah, the cult took this over and decided it's a real temple and they're going to worship a locust god. You know, cultists are not known for their intelligence. That's what makes them cultists in the first place. But you can see they have some, like Horus and Bastet and Anubis and whoever that is, and other god figures here just because people expect it. I mean, there's a ton of deities that came out from the Fertile Crescent, Northern Africa, that were later appropriated by the Greeks, for example, like their entire pantheon. I'm not going to get started on that. Anyways, this is weird. This has really no place in anything. It's a meteor strike that summoned fire elementals. I don't even know why it's here, but, I mean, because it doesn't really play a huge part in larger things, but it does create this massive scar that leads to a portal over there. But I'm not going to get into that at the moment. Go Hell Cycle, I don't have to worry about the tires melting. Anyways, I'm going to go over the guy who's just watching it all peacefully. Because when you're an immortal, you get chill fast. I've been warned that being a new immortal ourselves, we'll get a lot less passionate. This is Khalid. Now, let's, like I said with the episode, let's get this knocked out. Khalid is Aaron, in the sense that we're not dealing with the actual biblical figure. Again, since this is movie Egypt, Hollywood's version of it, this is from the Ten Commandments, the Charlton Heston. Now, Moses himself is the fiery spirit that he refers to as his brother, and Aaron... remember, if you know your Bible and the movie at all, Moses never enters the promised land of Jerusalem. He stays in the desert and supposedly becomes one with God and becomes the burning fire. That's Aaron is the one who was to lead his people, but apparently he was chosen by God or Gaia, or maybe they're the same entity in the secret world, to remain as Egypt's steward. And unfortunately, this is not going well, as the entire Fourth Age has been degenerating. Now remember, Khalid probably saw the end of the Third Age, because he's referring to items and things that happened with the Black Pharaoh, which is it's kind of hard to do. If he is a member of the Fourth Age, then he has experience with Third Age technology that was in the Black Pharaoh's reign. If, however, he's from the Third Age, this makes him a survivor of seeing much more. I'm kind of hoping this interview will help us with that information. All right, Khalid, hit me with it. Ooh, this will be good. Let's tell me something. I'd like to look a guy in the face when I talk to him.
Greetings, child.
Greetings. You know, of all the other immortals, he's been the most polite.
You wish to know more about me? It's been so long that I can barely remember my own story. I have wandered the deserts of this land and others for many thousands of years. Am I immortal? Truly, I do not know. I haven't had the courage to test the hypothesis. Of course, the fact that I still stand, albeit with some difficulties, points to yes.
All right, so he's not like us, as far as he knows, in which he'll regenerate if he's killed, or he doesn't know if he is or not. But I'm still calling that he's a bee. Now, the thing is, we might be a supercharged version of a bee, an immortal chosen by Gaia to defend her. Why, she might have had what she referred to the 8 and 8, the 64, a group that was kind of the stewards of the day-to-day, and the people like us only get created during crises. And I actually fear that might mean that we aren't long for this world, that we're the candle that burns twice as bright is half as long, and we're burning pretty goddamn bright. We're called star stuff in a future episode.
Some have written of me, and some of what is written might even be correct. I wouldn't know, I haven't checked. All you need to know is that I'm still here because there's still evil here. And until evil has been vanquished, I do not intend to give up neither life nor breath.
Well, the evil's a forever thing, so I guess you and I will be chilling. How about poker every 5 years or so? You know, they will more common, but we're probably not likely to be in the same areas that often. Anyways, so yeah.
I am, as you may have surmised, a stubborn old bastard.
Well, you have every right to be. Yeah, what's interesting is that staff of his is a shepherd's crook to some degree. Again, using the Judaic symbolism, the people looking after humanity would be considered the shepherds. Tell me about Egypt.
I've witnessed Egypt change from an empire of untold power and fabulous riches into a nation descending into chaos.
And that's the mundane world.
But through it all, it is Egypt's people that have brought this land back from the brink, from succumbing to greater evil, and from losing its way.
You've got confidence.
Even here, it is only through the resistance of those who oppose the cult of Aten that there's still time to save Egypt and the world.
We kind of did. I mean, I'm calling it a minor victory, what happened at the end of this.
This was my first home, and it shall be my last, God willing.
If there's always a question whether this is the Hebrew god or Gaia. Given this is the only representation of him, so to speak, I'm guessing it is, and he's just focusing through the lens of his faith, which would be the really early Judaic one. Okay, tell me about the Maria.
Perhaps I was stupid to believe that the good in this valley had conquered the evil.
Yes.
That the cult of Aten would not rise again.
Yes.
And that the sentinels inside the city of the sun god could sleep in peace.
Yeah, because then Gaia would recall the Sentinels. It's that simple. If you don't have a purpose in divinity, you don't exist.
It is a blessed thing that the Maria were not so trusting. They did not lay down their arms or stop teaching their children the tenets that we wrote down so long ago. And when this calamity befell Egypt once again, they were already here. Ready and waiting. Without them, it would have already been over. Evil would have won, and the Aten itself might well have risen.
Right, that's the thing. And I remember from the last Interludes episode, what happened is they faded, but they're still there, and they're at the point of collapse, which is why, of course, Gaia sent us. He dropped the ball, and he admits it. And that can be excused as being an immortal. You see, immortals have a much shorter frame of reference and are much more inclined to understand how things can change so quickly. Why he is just seeing the same thing for too many times. It's why you can't have immortals doing everything. They just can't focus on anything but the big picture. But yeah, it's also that evil will always exist, and once you stop paying attention to it, modern times, it just will grow. It'll grow again.
The Maria bought us all time, though the tides of battle shift even now. The city of the sun god is opened up, and the sentinels within are our last defense against the rebirth of the Black Pharaoh and the dawn of the sun god.
Which we kind of stopped. We stopped him rising, but his artifact is still out there in Okay, I was told this. Oriochi hands? Is that correct? Secret World.
I've grown weary of the world. I believe I have seen all things, both good and evil. And while I still have faith in good, in the face of this rising evil, I can no longer be the one to stand up and do battle.
Yeah, he's worn out.
This is not the first time these armies have been raised up, on both sides, but it may well be the last. There is a change in the air. This time it's different.
The breach in Tokyo has allowed the dreamers to start manifesting physically upon this realm, although barely at the moment. And if that's why it's probably the end of the age. Now, God, I don't know how to fit this in, but When I did Moons of Madness, it's set in 2050, 2060s, so the problem being is that there is a point in the future past this in which people are not aware of the secret world, but it's not overflowing in tentacles. So that means the canon ending, assuming they're both the same timeline, the canon ending is that we win. But this being an MMO and the rate of progress this game is going, I don't think we'll ever see that end within the game itself. Depends on how you look at it. Maybe I'm thinking too much.
My heart goes out to you, caught up in these end of days. But I will have to sit this one out and trust that I have already played my part.
Okay, we're seeing this a lot where the Immortals of the Fourth Age are depleted. They cannot continue any further. We, as I will say, have said, will keep saying in the recorded episodes of the City of the Sun God, we're the replacements, the bees. We are the new gods, and we will evolve into new roles and take up on new things. Now, I can't imagine Hipster Dude playing anything really delicate. Odds are he's just kind of... well, who knows what it'll be at the end of this.
I was a member of the first of the secret societies, but our ties were severed long ago.
Now, would that be the Illuminati?
The organizations you people are part of are pale shadows of that first cabal, and your ethics questionable.
Oh, hell yes.
Your masters are no longer working to protect humankind from the evils of this world, but rather to protect their dark secrets from humankind. To be more than in the shadows. To be one with the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you and yours are evil.
I will.
But you cannot claim to be good, to do good, unless you make sacrifices that your leaders are unwilling to make, that you would be unwilling to make, faced with the choice.
Now, here's where things get interesting. I'm guaranteeing you that if this was an actual narrative playing out, not kind of stuck in time points, the bees would overthrow the secret societies. They would utterly do it, and they would become the new secret society because they also have become too corrupt to be trusted. So that would be an interesting game, but I don't think we're ever going to see it.
I'm no longer part of that world because I failed. But at least I didn't fail to be compassionate.
Hell yes.
My weakness was that I cared too much, and that made me blind to our cause.
Empathy is never something you should apologize for. It's just something sometimes you can't engage in. Alright, so the Forsaken Oasis is not really that forsaken, and it's not something that's forsaken to evil because we've seen the cultists manifest here, but it is, however, well-traveled. So I'm guessing what this is a Maria camp, which is currently unoccupied because they are on the warpath. But should it be to let everything go horribly wrong even further, I'm guessing it's also the last retreat. It's not terribly defensible, unfortunately, but it is tucked away in secret. It's the Rivendell. The Rivendell of the secret world. With Rivendell had better music. Anyways. Alright, so let's see. Which direction do we need to go in here? I don't want to get stuck. Alright, so yeah, we'll go this way. Turn it off, please. In this direction. I'll tell you what. Let's see. Now, here's the thing about being in a Cecil B. DeMille picture, which is essentially what we're in, is that you've got to have Roman temples in it. I'm serious. Look at this. Guys, Cel Sol Glorifius, which is the glory of the sun in Latin, which is really not that hard to figure out. It is the ruins of a once great temple done by Roman sun worshippers. Now, in the game here, you can see that it's, again, posed to a movie set. We have long, sweeping entrances and wide panoramas, and this is the Circus Maximus, and that's okay, I guess. I mean, you could probably say it's a temple, but if you look closely at this place, especially when you go back in time, and we'll cover that part, it kind of doesn't really exist. Ooh, wait, I got a mini-boss. Hang on. See if I can find him. I guess you're back here. Are you back here? Are you? Yes, there you are. Hang on a second. Alright. Sorry, I just like to clean these guys up. Eventually I'll go back and I'll clean up all of them. I mean, if I ever do the Lore Hunter series, maybe I'll do a Monster Hunter series and we'll go over all the mini-bosses. That one will be fun to try. Anyways, but yeah, the temple area, also the market in the center, that's appropriate for Roman outpost, but then you get all these side rooms and... Excuse me. I'm not interested in fighting at the moment, okay? Side rooms and that sort of thing, but we never actually saw any living quarters for either the people here or the slaves. And that's the first thing that movie sets drop. They drop the living quarters, they drop the bathrooms, they drop all the things that you really have to have a living community. I mean, you could theoretically say they were living in huts out here at the Forbidden Oasis, but... ew. But yeah, this is kind of really not the reality. Again, as I keep pointing out, it's kind of a movie set. Now this section right here, let's see if I can, I'm gonna check out and see if I can arrange for things to go back in time, and we'll check out the previous version, okay? Hang on. Okay, so here we are in 329 AD version of the Roman city we've seen. And as you can see, there's not much difference in the Oasis. There's no tents or anything at this time, and just a whole bunch of slaves. Never mind, I'm not here for the missions. Dude! There's nobody here guarding you. Just, like, get up and run. Ugh, gods. Anyways, as you can see, now we have a much better view of what the ancient Egyptian city looks like. Now, remember, this is a city full of, well, dreamer worshippers, although you really can't tell. They've got some, of course, the palm trees that are associated with Egypt, and of course the architecture, which is ancient Roman, but in order to get inside I can't be wearing my glowy pants, so I need to go steal this dead guy's outfit.
Quick access inventory updated.
There we go. I mean, what Roman citizen doesn't have it? Doesn't have a 9mm submachine gun attached? Ugh. Yeah, I'm guessing these guys are being left out. Sol Glorfregas, 3929 AD. Are being left out as sacrifices to the spider gods that we saw in the mission, but I'm not really understanding with a fascination with spiders. But as you can see, it's the same architecture that I was talking about earlier. You have all of these lovely bare rooms, jugs everywhere. Find it. Anyways, I'm not really here for the mission anyways. So, and I've got to avoid being seen by the cops because they will bust me, and that creates a temporal paradox, which makes me go poof back to the beginning of the time loop. Because apparently there's a safety feature in the TARDIS that prevents me from creating a paradox. If I start slaughtering people, well, then that's going to affect their descendants now, isn't it? But yeah, these aren't living quarters. They're just all workshops, which makes this like the center of a, can't go that way. And yeah, I know what your profession is. Uh-huh. Let's see. Yeah, and there's the smithy, and that it does make sense in some degree. You see, in the ancient times, you usually combined all of the functions of a the governmental facility in government in one facility, especially in outposts, temples, storerooms, workshops. So you could effectively house the entire citizenry here, but the citizenry themselves would be dispersed among the landscape. Now, we can't go beyond the time loop settings, which are are created like a giant chaos storm, because it's essentially like a temporal echo of the reality. Not the reality itself, which is why if we try to interact with it too much, it completely fades away. But yes, this is the restored version of where we were seeing those ruined temples before. I'm going to see if I can get in there. Okay. Sure. We get in here, we grab one of these at random, and it's always the wrong one. Yeah, and then we gotta make a fake one. Now that's a large part of the mission, so I am not gonna bother showing you that. I already did that long, extensive part too. I'm just gonna show you the view from up here. And yes, this is, like I said, what we think of a temple complex from our Hollywood settings, as it were. The Hollywood version of the past, like a giant set like a giant set to amuse us. But how am I getting how am I getting text messages in the past? I mean, hell, I could understand to some degree. Like I said, they have contact with the Illuminati, but where's the cell tower in 329? Seriously. Anyways, so, and the whole thing is, of course, the way we want to see it. Now, that's, like I said, the biggest problem I've had with the Egypt setting is it just doesn't feel like Egypt. Now, like Amanda said, this is the pulp version of Egypt, in which designed for foreign adventurers to come and, you know, fight in exotic territories and find treasures and probably, you know, seduce the local women. The, you know, what adventures are supposed to all be about. But in any case, I'm gonna, you know, vape back to the present and finish off the episode. Hang on. Okay, and now we're here in the subterranean sections of Al-Mahir. Now, I'm putting this in this section, excuse me. In order to get here, you have to activate a certain mission, the city beneath us. But these are, in fact, the streets of a previous town. You see, when a certain age ends, when a civilization ends, the foundations usually the streets of that age become the foundation of the next one, and the older cities get pushed further and further down. I mean, in Africa and older parts of Europe, excuse me, I hate killing researchers, but probably best nobody knows that he knows. But yeah, they become the foundations of the new one, because of course, like I said before, you will continuously put cities where the water and the trade routes are, and if there happen to be structures that are still there from previous time, you will make use of them. You'll make use of their stones, you'll make use of their foundations and the roads, and if they're really old, and I can skip that mission. Oh, hang on.
Rumor has it you've stumbled onto something. My capacity to inspire confidence never ceases to amaze. I'll be there as soon as I can. In the meantime, try not to touch anything.
Right. Anyways, hang on. This is the current stage of the first city of Al-Marad. I think I'm pronouncing it right. And as you can see, the cultists are currently taking it apart. And that is the time tomb that we use to get to the next stage of things. But you'll have to give me a second. Yeah, we've done this mission before, so I'll just skip ahead. Hang on. Now, further down, these are the first foundations of the cities of the Al-Marad in the, 12th century, 17th dynasty, somewhere around there. Its history can be pretty sketchy since we are both dealing with time travel and, you know, secret histories. And as you can see, enough of it remains intact. So it is effectively the lower levels of the current city. Ugh, that doesn't look good. Yeesh, what are you doing? Flooding the place? Or is that the sewer system? Because that would be bad to dip it. Alright, come on. As you can see, they have glowy hieroglyphs, which are actually secret circuitry. Meaning all of this right now is, in fact, as you might say, technological. There's the anima-based circuitry running through the entire structure, which is why the time tomb is still powered, which means that the third age tech is still running at the end of the fourth age, which is why everybody wants it. It was so good. But in the meantime, alright, hang on. I'm going to have to move the mission ahead to be able to access it, to move back to see how the city looked in 1149 BC. Give me a sec. Okay, so here we are in 1180-97 BCE, Al-Mahir, the first iteration of the city in the Fourth Age. As you can see, again, we're going with the Hollywood aesthetic here. Wide, sweeping panoramas that fit well into a lens of a camera. And as you can see, the structure itself is on the surface, or passes for the surface. In the next 4,000 years or so, the structure will fade into the ground and become the foundations. Now, as you can remember, as you can see here, so it pokes out of the bottom there, we're on top of anima wells, which are being channeled by the structure itself into the time tomb, which becomes the important structure, because that's how we get in and out of the present. And as you can see, the roads here are actually echoing the passageways we were going, because the entirety of this section kind of gets filled at the top of this canyon up here. So when the canyon fills in here, it becomes the foundation, but it's still structurally, this section down here remains intact, which is why you get that structure we were going through. But as you can see, those hieroglyphs and such that would be in this section have not been created yet. So we're dealing with those will be another structure built on top of this one. I think if you count, this is the first, there's a second, and a third, and a fourth, and the current one is the 5th stage of Al-Mahir. Like I was saying, not that unusual. Got Anubis on the right there, and don't know who on the left. But as you can see, it's being created by slave labor. Now here's something interesting. You've got hand-worked slave labor doing technological feats that we are incapable of now. But in the secret world and the conspiracy theory universe, as a meta-universe that is based off of there you are. Another animal L. It's based off. This is, of course, absolute truth. I mean, I'm surprised the ancient astronauts aren't here, too, directing them with anti-grav beams, because, like, in the Western mind, there is no other fascination with how all this, everything was, every conspiracy comes back to is Egypt. There was, because they were gods or fallen angels or ancient astronauts that came here and gave the Egyptians their wisdom, and it spread out. Now, in our world, I'm not going to defend that point of view, but in this world, it is true, and those ancient beings are the Third Age humans, or Gaians, or whatever they were, because we're not actually sure what the Third Age looks like. If you remember the 2 holograms from previous missions in this area, they had some sort of weird mask on them that may or may not have been human, so we don't even know if the humans of the Fourth Age actually look like the inhabitants of the Third Age. It becomes kind of a weird thing. Now, I'm not going to dive through the Indiana Jones style traps and such to show you the interior, because there's not really a huge amount. I mean, you've seen Indiana Jones, you know what these ancient temples look and their puzzles look like. So if you do want to see it, if I remember, I'll post a link up there. Otherwise, it's probably somewhere in the early 40s for yes, it was 48, I think, for the 49, episode 49, I think, for that one. And that's about it for what I call the Hollywood version of this. Now, I almost want to fit the Oxford dig into here, but it's probably, I could probably justify throwing it in with the next section, which will be all about digging too deep, which is the people who have gone in and disturbed the ancient evils, both the Del Roche expedition from Cambridge and the Oriochi, see if I'm pronouncing that right, the Oriochi corporation's so quote-unquote drilling operation. But in any case, for the moment, this is Fantastic World, stuck in the past. I'll get back to the present shortly. Saying farewell from Lovecraft Country and the Secret World Interludes, and I hope to see you next episode, both of this and the regular series, which is barreling down into Transylvania as we speak, and getting more and more interesting. But in any case, see you next time.
You will see the dawning of a new age. To be a monarch or a beggar. To lose everything or to become a god. To stand with us or against us. The choice